Welcome to the WBA on the Fortress Network. My name is Aaron King. I'm here with Karina San Lucas, and welcome to our new TFN studio here in Toronto, Canada, as we bring you all the league's biggest news from our first two game days.
Thanks, Aaron. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. From Sam Curro's struggles to checking in on some stars in new cities, getting the rundown on our expansion teams, and taking a closer look at a female revolution that's brewing in the league.
Well, let's get right to it then. One of our biggest stories this week revolves around one of the faces of the league, where after making multiple careless remarks on social media, two-time Finals MVP Sam Curro has found himself struggling to help out the Serpents when they need him most. First in Game 1 versus Sao Paulo, where Curro put up a good showing and was able to tie the WBA single-game record with 62 points going into overtime. However, things quickly went off the rails when Curro seemed to lose his composure and was unable to hit any shots in overtime, going 0-for-3, ultimately leading to a 121-115 loss.
Yeah, this overtime performance really ended up setting a tone for Curro as his fortunes kept going downhill, heading into Tokyo for a match with the Yokai, where Curro shot only 3 for 7, getting 9 points and adding on 6 rebounds and 5 assists, leading the Serpents to have to lean on Quinn Valentine's 30-point performance to squeak out an 86-84 win against the Yokai. All these struggles come after Curro was quoted on popular social media site Hoopsta, stating that it looks like getting a championship would be easy this year. This has led to questions about Curro's mental focus going into the season.
After Game 2 against Tokyo, we asked Sam for a comment on whether or not his social media activities are having a negative effect on his focus and composure, and he appeared to double down on his confidence by stating that "I'm not distracted, I'm just focused on winning, and we're gonna win it all this season again, easy."
Well, we can only wait and see how this plays out for Curro and the Serpents. Hopefully they would be able to bounce back and show us some of the MXC dominance that we are used to seeing.
Well, while Curro has been sorting out his struggles, many other star players have started getting acclimated to their new homes, and some have already started to ball out, including reigning league MVP Khalil James, who after signing a 1-year $18 million contract with the Tigers has wasted no time making a massive impact in Seoul, meshing well with sophomore star Jordan Barnes with 230-plus performances en route to dominant wins against New York and San Diego. Elsewhere in the land down under, Dio Brando is adjusting to life in Sydney after a draft day trade that sent him from New York to Sydney in exchange for the picks that would turn into Dougie Hamilton and Trey Bryant.
And after a slow start against Tokyo, Brando was able to find his stride against Sao Paulo, dropping 17 points and grabbing 3 stocks to help the Outlaws pull off an upset on the defending GBC champions' home court. And to try and fill the void left by James and Brando, Sting GM Randall Ta made a massive splash in free agency, signing 2-time WBA All-Pro and scoring leader Desmond Doja. Doja, now on his 3rd team in as many years, has found himself unable to replicate his forms from Paris and Vancouver, and is only averaging 16.5 points per game, compared to around 32 from his first 2 seasons in the league. This may be due to Randall Ta's game plan that has him on a limited shot count. However, Desmond is making the most of what he gets by shooting a whopping 75% from the field.
Another former Admiral star, Pepper Parker, is also working with a change of address after making her displeasure with the team. Well known, the star point guard has signed a 2-year $24 million contract with the San Diego Nighthawks. However, opening week has turned into the beginning of a nightmare for Parker as she finds herself on a struggling 0-2 Nighthawks team who are looking like one of the worst teams in the league right now.
Yeah. It looks like some of these guys are getting very comfortable with their new homes, while others are struggling to adjust to their new environments. But the season is still young, and things can change in the blink of an eye in this league. So now let's change gears and check out how these teams stack up on our first Evolution Realty Power Rankings, where after an absolutely electric start to the season, the Seoul Tigers stand alone at the top, with the Admirals, Sting, Serpents, and Yokai rounding out the top 5, with a rather large drop-off at the 8th spot with the Paris Rebels. Down at the bottom, we have the struggling San Diego Nighthawks, trailing behind the 2 expansion teams.
And while these expansion teams are lagging at the bottom of the power rankings, both are young teams with a lot of room to grow, ushering in a new expansion era for the league. First up, we have the Bogota Arches, the 3rd team in Latin America representing Colombia's capital and most populous city, with a roster consisting of multiple players with WBA finals experience, as well as 2 rookies who were participants in last year's ACAA championship game, hoping that these players who are used to being under the bright lights can guide this team to success. And for our other expansion franchise, we have the Lagos Legends, the first franchise on the continent of Africa and representing its largest urban area, sporting one of the youngest rosters in the league. The Legends will look to develop some of this young talent in hopes of building for the future.
I wish both of our new expansion teams the best of luck for their futures. But now it's time to look at the players driving these teams and the top 5 who have earned a spot on our Kingdom Hydration Team of the Week. And of course, we have to start with the star duo of Jordan Barnes and our Team of the Week captain, Khalil James. This duo has combined for almost 60 points per game with 10 rebounds and almost 15 assists.
Joining Barnes in the TOTW backcourt is standout guard Marco Llorente, whose 33.5 points per game has helped Vancouver easily power past San Diego and Paris. Joining James in the frontcourt, we have Quinn Valentine, whom Mexico City has had to lean on in light of Sam Kuro's struggles. And finally, rounding out the team, holding it down at center, we have Tihomir Marinkovic, who has led Tokyo to a victory against Sydney and an extremely close game against the reigning champs. Now it's time for a Fortress Network special report from Karina San Lucas.
Thank you, Aaron. Over the past 2 years, we have experienced something in this league that is nothing short of revolutionary. We have witnessed 2 female players ascend to the highest ranks of college basketball and earn the honor of being picked first overall in the WBA draft. And in the league, some of these women are making massive impacts on every team that join, earning accolades and breaking barriers along the way. Shortly after Game 2 in Tokyo, I was able to ask Jordan Barnes for a comment on what it feels like to be at the center of this strong female movement. And she wasted no time to shout on one of her personal heroes, NOH legend Diana Brown. She stated,
I just want to start out by saying I'm personally thankful to one of my heroes, Diana Brown, who paved the road as the first in the ACAA and continued in the NOH. I know I left her off my dream team with SCM, but that's more about my nerves than anything. Anyway, I think it says college and league scouts are doing their due diligence on every player, and that's a great thing for the league's future, I think. The teams and evaluators are getting a wider playing field, and we're seeing an increase in opportunities, but also those ladies living up to the challenge as well. I think of Chino, who just went number 1 overall to Dublin after leading UMX to the title. It's really great to see, and I think the future of both the league and women in the sport is looking pretty bright. I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Thank you very much for that report, Karina. Now let's take a look at our upcoming schedule. First, on Friday at 5:30, the Lagos Legends host the Red Hot Soul Tigers for the first ever WBA game on the African continent. Next at 6, the Bogota Arches travel up to Tokyo for a matchup with the Yokai. Then we have a triple header on Saturday with the Dublin Warriors heading to the Big Apple to take on the Sting, followed by Cheyenne and Brando heading up north to take on Llorente, MFJ, and the Admirals, and capped off by the Paris Rebels heading to SoCal to duel the Nighthawks. These are all bound to be exiting games, and the Fortress Network will return next week to talk about weeks 3 and 4.